But here's the counter argument to the atheists listening in the art, like who are trying to cheer this on. This story is like an anti-cult story, if this is the intended interpretation. Because again, if you just want to make a cult, God doesn't show up. Again, you just keep the faith. The whole message is about keeping the faith, which means God doesn't show up, and no matter how bad your master treats you or your Lord treats you, you just say yes sir, no sir, 3 bags full, sir. If that's your intention, if you want that cult mentality. But when you have a story like this where boss man shows up and he ain't acting too good, he ain't acting too nice, you know what I mean? That's when it's like, okay, it's actually forcing people to think. And like I said, if that is the intention, then it makes a story so much fucking better. You know what I mean? In my opinion, it's almost like a must read. I would say. You know what I mean? Even if you're an atheist, all this kind of shit, because it gets the wheels turning. You know what I mean? That's the other kind of like side to it as well. There's a lot of what would be the best way to describe it? Like I keep calling them control words, but like it because I've not found any other word to describe it. But it's basically you use certain words, and instantly people just see you as Satan, as the devil. You are like their enemy, public enemy number one. It's the same like thing like you see with like Trump derangement syndrome. Like all you have to do to a lefty is say like you like Trump, and then all of a sudden, no matter what you say, it's wrong. They no longer listen to you. You're basically as if it was like virtual reality, and they just like change the image to like some sort of like demon or whatever. You know what I mean? John says, feel like I'm not understanding something. Can you restate the claim? Of course, John. Like I said, I got my nice fancy notepad out here, and we're going down the logic tree, as they say, right? There is only two we're not if we're writing a story, like let's say we're like just we random like 10,000 years in the future, we're going through the desert, we find this story that's called the Book of Job, right? And we read it and we kind of lay out and we're trying to see like what is the outcome, what is this story trying to tell us, what truth or higher level truth can we extract out of this, or what wisdom can we extract out of this? And my main question is, because a lot of people would say Job was going to keep the faith no matter what. Because bear in mind, like that's Satan's whole point, or the adversary in this story's whole point is he would turn his back on you. Yeah. If you take away all the things that you've given them. Yeah. So like the whole kind of aspect that we're saying is like, if that was the case, that Job, like the main message is just to keep the faith no matter how bad things go, no matter how much suffering you have in your life, just keep the faith, right? If that's the main message of the book, you don't need God to show up. Yeah. Like if your mentality is like, I just want to write a story where someone goes through an unbelievable amount of suffering to the level of it's unjustified suffering, but that guy still keeps the faith. And I want to instill that message in my people. If that's the thing, God doesn't need to show up. John says, okay, so we're presupposing that is the main message of the book. But this is what I'm saying. Like, what is the message of the book then? Like, what is the what is the reason for God having to show up? Because there's only two options: either God shows up in the story, or he doesn't show up. If he doesn't show up, he's supposed to. Job gets a reward in heaven, prove Satan wrong. You know, beautiful. But the fact that God does show up, and there's only two options. If we go down or we do a nested tree logic here, either Job was going to keep the faith, or Job was going to turn his back on God. And if Job was going to turn his back on God, that means that Satan was right. Hence the title of the stream. But because fundamentally, you have to give me a reason of why it's necessary for God to show up. Because if you say, teach us to keep the faith, or anything along those lines about like, you know, suffering in the world and all this kind of stuff, any of that stuff, you're basically saying it's like you're adding like pointlessness into the story. Because you could just say that you just remove the part of God showing up, and you say, Job died or whatever, but he went to heaven and he got rewarded and everything was grand and Satan was proved wrong. Do you know what I mean? Jack Steel, man, go and Book of Job, baby. Book of Job. John, do you understand what I'm talking about here? Oh shit, one sec. The chat's moved. We got William saying, donate to support the stream. Tarek has a lot of fun attack moves you can make. Yeah, we got clips. We got a lot of clips, boys and girls. Might be saying, what clips have we got? Well, we got...
Listen, you can take that regressive leftist bullshit SIM card and shove it right up your arse.
We got anti-leftist memes. We got Jeffrey Epstein memes.
Jeffrey Epstein? Yeah, but before you judge me, know this. Yes, I was on the sex island, but only for the snorkeling. I didn't know anything about the kid stuff.
No. Listen, I was only there for the snorkeling, okay? And we even got more Jim Bob clips.
Realize that none of these characters are real. These characters are just being inserted into places to serve Israel. That makes Israel the master of the universe.
He-Man?
He-Man? I love Jim Bob's Crips where he's like, He-Man? Control the universe? He-Man? But yeah, every dollar donated as well extends the show by 1 minute. So if you donate $30 or if you don't like, let's say 6 clips, if you said, okay, I need what was it? I need a Jew, give me some of that exorcism action, you know, say you done a whole range of clips that like total $30, you're extending the show by 30 minutes. You know what I'm saying? So each dollar extend the show by 1 minute. But we get back to John. John says, I think we'd first have to establish the main message of the book. That's what I'm saying. 100%. We are in agreement, John. I think the main message of the story has to do with the questions of, is God's justice based on our behavior? Can we claim God is unjust because good people suffer? Yeah, but like, even if we go into this whole aspect of the suffering, you know what I mean? If your whole main thing is that it's like, no matter how bad or no matter how much suffering you go through, you keep the faith in God, then I revert you back to, why does God need to show up? You know what I mean? Hey, my man, Theology Thursdays, baby. Like, this is why it's an important thing. You know what I mean? Like, there's a reason why, like, even this is why what pisses me off against about atheists is like, they have no respect that it's like, people have literally died to keep these stories alive for thousands of years. You know what I mean? There's clearly like higher level meanings to this story. Like I said, in terms of my interpretation, this makes it like, you know, a must read for every single atheist. You know what I mean? To see if they're able to work out the wheel, do the wheels start turning. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, John, if we're going down the whole path of suffering and all this kind of stuff, and how can we like justify suffering in the world, I revert you back to like, when we go to the story, we know why Job was suffering. Like, let me get the line, because like even God said, like, you basically, you made me harm Job. Like, what were you doing? All this kind of shenanigans. Do you know what I mean? It's King James. Let me go to NIV. Oh shit. Stop sharing. Go on to this. Apologies, folks, for the delay. We're back. We're back at it, folks. We're back at it. So yeah. So John, when we're looking at like this section here, okay, I think that should be clear enough for everyone to read. Like, this is God talking to Satan, right? And he's like, have you considered my servant Job? Kind of bragging about Job. And he goes, though you incited me against him to ruin him without any reason. Like basically God is like confirming here that it's like, I've caused suffering to Job because you incited me. Now, just for 1 second, John, do you think that that's preaching accountability, or is that like, no, he made me do it? Is that not like let's just think about that aspect, that dynamic. I mean, if a father went to his 2 kids and like the one kid is like, why'd you hit the other kid? It's like, oh, he made me. You know what I mean?